Okay, in this video I want to show you how to update the current version of your pyRevit to a newer version. For this specific video, I'm going to update pyRevit 4.3 to 4.4. 4.4 is the update that I just published today, and I want to update my own pyRevit to the newer version. To know what version of pyRevit you're running, make sure if you're on an older version, make sure that you have one document open so you have access to all these buttons inside pyRevit panel tab basically. So if you open that, now you can go under pyRevit tab and open this and then click on About. And this pops up a window that shows you what version you're running. It also tells you what version of the R and Python engine you're running, which is basically the if you search for R and Python, go to the website. This R and Python is a completely separate project, obviously, and this is the engine that we're using is 2.77, as you can see here, which is basically the latest version of R and Python that's available. So this is the most important piece of information that you can get from this About window, other than the other projects that I've used and my information and stuff like that. There is one hidden feature in this About window, that is that this version is clickable. So it says version 4.3, but there's a number right after that, and that's a hash number basically. If you click on this, it'll take you to the commit pages on the pyRevit GitHub project that shows you all the changes that has been done to the project, and that number corresponds to this. So that number basically tells you what exact basically latest change that your local copy of pyRevit is on. And updating pyRevit means that if you're, for example, you're here, updating pyRevit means that accepting and adopting and applying all these extra changes to the repository that you currently have installed on your machine. That is really the beauty of using a Git system, because you already have everything else that was done before this commit number. You already have all those. The only thing that you need is all the extra changes that's been done after this to the new version. So that minimizes the stuff that you have to download. And what's nice is that you can do it in place, and you don't have to uninstall an app and reinstall an app and stuff like this. So technically, as long as you have installed pyRevit once, you can just keep updating it like this, and it doesn't really matter how big of a change is. You can always update it in place without overhead and stuff like that. So this is the version of pyRevit that I'm on. I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to close this document, and I want to update my 4.3 to the newer version. So let's say I actually shouldn't have closed that document. So I have a document open, and I can go under pyRevit and say pyRevit update. This is how you update pyRevit. Click on it. It launches a window. It tells you that it's checking for the internet connection, and it starts pulling all the changes from the repository. Most of the times you see a bunch of messages here that, oh, okay, the new changes have been applied easily, and then you can basically, you see that the new changes have been applied. It gives you a thumbs up, reloads pyRevit, and everything's fine, and then you can close this window. Sometimes, especially for big changes in pyRevit core, you get this message that tells you that pyRevit has a major core update, and this update cannot be applied while Revit is running, and you need to close all the instances, do this, run this script file that's here, and then basically open Revit again. And I'm going to explain to you why this thing happens. pyRevit has this inside this repository. So I've installed pyRevit on my C drive here on the pyRevit version 4, and I'm going to show you this is the pyRevit repository. On the pyRevit lib, pyRevit loader add-ins, there's a set of DLLs that are basically the connection for IronPython to the .NET platform and stuff like that. But one of them is the most important one. pyRevit loader is the most important DLL that pyRevit really depends on. This DLL is the DLL that Revit loads when it's running, and inside this DLL there is a sort of like there are scripts and procedures to run this pyRevit loader Python command, and this is a Python script basically. That's what it does, is that it imports pyRevit and loads a new session. That's all it does. So what Revit needs to do, Revit needs to load this loader, and then this loader will, after that uploads the pyRevit loader Python script, and then the rest is taken care of by the pyRevit library basically, which you can see inside here. It's got the loader, all these Python scripts. We'll take care of everything else as far as creating the UI and finding the tools and everything else, and showing you that prompt that shows up at the at Revit startup and stuff like that. The problem is that this, as long as Revit is open, this DLL is being kept open by Revit. So while Revit is open, you can't delete or move or replace this DLL because it's already been loaded. A core update means that there has been an update to this pyRevit loader. These updates to this loader are minimal, and that's why I've minimized the amount of tasks for this loader. The only purpose of this is just to load this Python script. It doesn't really do anything because I can replace these Python scripts as much as I want while Revit is running. I cannot replace this DLL. So I've really minimized the amount of responsibility that this DLL has. But every once in a while, for example, currently Revit version 2018 is out, and I needed to recompile this for the 2018. And that means that basically you get a core update because this needs to be updated. So when this happens, Revit tells you, basically pyRevit tells you that this is the pyRevit tells you that you have a core update, and you need to do this. You need to go to this address and run this batch script. So just go to this address. Actually, I'm going to keep that window. Go to this address, and that's the file that it's talking about. Make sure you close all your Revit instances and everybody else's Revit instances that is using the same pyRevit repository. If you have it on a shared network and everybody else is linked to this, everybody needs to close the Revit so that DLL becomes free. Once all the instances of Revit are closed, now you can double click on this pyRevit batch script, and then what it does is that it basically downloads everything from the GitHub repository onto your machine, upgrade the existing Git repository that you have, and now it's able to do the job because all the Revits are closed, and it can replace that DLL to the newer version. So I'm just going to double click on this, and then you can see that it basically downloads everything, and it tells you that the pyRevit core has been successfully updated. You can click on any button, and then that window closes, and you're done basically. So you can close this window, and now you can run your Revit again to the newer version. One of the things that came up in the changes that has been done to the pyRevit 4.4 is the change of the file name for the configuration. I got a lot of questions to see if that's possible, that to remove this basically the username from the file naming of this configuration, and we made that change in the 4.4. And what I want to show you is that notice that this is the older version of pyRevit, so you have this older naming system for the config file. So now when I'm running the new version of pyRevit, I'm running Revit again, and it basically loads the newer version. That file name will be updated. So I'm just going to keep this one open here so you can see it. Obviously, you get prompted with this prompt that tells you that this DLL has been replaced. It's a newer one. Are you sure you want to use it? Load it. You say, yep, I want to load it. Always load. So you don't get this prompt every time you open Revit. And it basically loads pyRevit. And you just notice that pyRevit renamed that configuration file correctly to the new format. And you can see this is the 4.4, the new version of Revit, and that is basically running right now. So we are done. I can close this, open up this back up, and then, okay, so one of the other changes that's been done is that now that in zero document mode, which is where you don't have any documents open in Revit, if you click on pyRevit tab, some of these tools are still accessible. So you can work on all these tools using settings and stuff like that inside pyRevit. So technically you can access all your settings without having any document open, or change or check the version of pyRevit that's running without having to open any document. And you can see that you're running the newer version 4.4 with that hash for the last command. So if I click on this now, you notice that it says 1B something. See, that's 1B04EFF. This is the latest change that's been done to the pyRevit. It's a core update. It updates pyRevit to 4.4, and you are sure that you have the most recent version of pyRevit running on your machine.